we're getting serious now. I've got two oscilloscope probes coming from the USB cable, which is connected to the phone. The red one is on they're both on the USB data lines. And we're going to try and figure out what the app is sending to the keyboard or vice versa. So all I do on the scope, I capture a nugget of data. And let me talk you through this. So the USB data is sent with what are called differential lines. So that means if the top volt, if the green plus line is greater than the minus line, then that's a 1, and that's a 0. So now we can read the binary of this 1, 0. So what I've learned is that this is transmitting data at full USB speed. Look, so it's one clock cycle, one little nugget of data, that's a 1 or a 0, is taking 164 nanoseconds. Blah blah blah. What that means is that this is not going to be fast enough to read this on the GPIO header. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to solder 4 pins to the underside of that USB connector there. Well, here we go. Yesterday was a real slog. I found myself in a bit of a blind alley, really. And what I was trying to do was remove the need to have this phone and run the app for the keyboard. And to do that, I made some videos, but it turned out to be quite waffly, so I might bore you with them, I might not. But I had an oscilloscope probing on the USB pins. It turned out the signal was running too fast for the Bela to do anything with. And in the end, the more I think about it, the more I realise, hang about, if I'm going to use this thing to generate the synthesis, how am I going to control it? At which point I realised, well, I can use TouchOSC on the phone, which is a little way of developing little controllers, knobs and sliders and things. And then why not just have the phone holstered to my jeans or something like that, you know, Velcro to the side. This sits there and does all the magic synthesis, and all's good. And then we have access to this app, all in Japanese, of course, because that's what we're working with. This gives me the ability anyway to change the pitch and upload lyrics to this thing. So where I'm going with it now is I think I'm going to keep the singing part of this synth mainly and use the Bela as a kind of outboard granular processor, a little bit like some kind of modular Mutable Instruments modules do. There's one called Clouds, and what's nice about that is the source code is available on the internet already, and I've been poking around with it. So we're going to look at that, and also I'm going to show you in a minute how I've got the Synthesis Toolkit working, compiling on the Bela. I'm going to talk you through that briefly in a moment because I think it might be quite useful for people. It was a bit of a faff. Things are easier these days with helpful AI chatbots like ChatGPT, which for things like coding problems is actually really, really useful. So yeah, I'll talk you through that, and I'll tell you more about my plans with this thing. The Synthesis Toolkit, what is it? Well, it is a series of C++ libraries, classes, which we can use to build almost any kind of synth we want to build. But it tends to specialise in kind of physical models of things. So we've got plucked kind of Karplus-Strong algorithms that simulate the vibrations of a string, and flutes and windpipes and all that kind of stuff already in the box, really, so it's going to save us an awful lot of work. I said I was going to show you how to install this STK on the Bela. What I'm going to do actually is teach you the old adage, what is it they say? Give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day. show him ChatGPT and he can figure out how to ask all sorts of questions, which is what we're going to do in a moment to teach you how to install this thing. But first of all, an interesting and useful bit of information regarding the Bela is this is how you connect to one. You plug your Bela into your Mac or whatever with the USB cable, and you just type in bela.local. And there you are. And this is the Bela development environment. And we are in here, and I've written a small bit of test code which uses the sine wave object of the synthesizer, the STK Synthesizer Toolkit, and then just calculates 100 frames just to make sure everything's installed. And quite simply, you run it down here, and here's a load of samples. Now, the first thing you'll need to do is not only connect to the Bela through the web browser, but you'll also need to open an SSH port. So the way we do this is we type SSH and then root at bela.local, and this enables us to connect and have a terminal open on the Bela. So now in here what we're going to do now, we're going to use ChatGPT to give us the information we need. So I would ask ChatGPT, hi, let's be nice to it, can you tell me how to install the C++ STK, let's be specific, Synthesizer Toolkit libraries onto the Bela platform. I have a terminal window and I have SSH'd into the Bela. What do I do now? And as if by magic, the magic of the modern age, we're going to get all the information we need. It's telling us here to upgrade the software libraries and Linux and install some things and some stuff, and then we download it from the code, the SDK from the GitHub, and on it goes. And then if you follow these instructions, you will eventually have the libraries installed and ready to use. And you'll see here I've included one of the modules, the sine wave module, in the code. Now, one thing I did find that was quite difficult to figure out at first is this make parameters. So if I were you, I would ask ChatGPT, what are the make parameters I need? But I will show you what I've got on mine. We basically have to tell the Bela where these library folders are for external static libraries. And if we put these into the make parameters, you should find that the code compiles correctly. Now, this looks easier than it was because it did actually take me a couple of hours to figure this out. But by going backwards and forwards with ChatGPT, say, hey, it's not working properly. And then I would copy in the error. Here's the error message. And I would copy in the error message. Not that there is one, but I would just literally select it, blah, 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 copy it from there. And then off it would go. And then by going backwards and forwards with ChatGPT, you will eventually reach the point where the problem is solved and you have a working environment with which we can build a fully fledged synthesizer. Now, the main reason why I'm using STK, number one, the two main reasons. One is that because it's C++, it's going to be quite efficient and low level, meaning that we should be able to run quite complicated instruments. And we have all sorts, like I said before, we've got all sorts of nice code which we can investigate. So I'm going to beaver away with this. I'm going to tinker, and then hopefully the next video I show you will be a working instrument that I can stand up and play with this strange Keytar, and we'll have something fun. Bye!